So zippers are on. The main reason I always wanted a polishlavvu was because of the dual entrance. And nobody ever even uses them because the buttons are such a pain in the butt. So you see nobody even using the double door on the polishlavvu. That's kicks butt. You open up both doors, you get cross ventilation. You have a lot of options. You could do a fire, you could do a stove out my doorway now. Got a bunch of other little ideas, and I have a new stove coming in for this bad boy. I've been running a Seek outside large stove, which is just a little too big for this tiny shelter. So I decided to go with a smaller titanium stove, and that's going to be a surprise. So yeah, if you guys like what you see, give me a like, share, subscribe. It's going to help me out. There's still a lot more to come. I'm not really done. I just did the 2 zippers, and I'm really happy with how that came out. It's going to make this thing, using this thing, a world of fun. Alright, so here we are. This is all the things you're going to need to install the zippers on your polishlavvu. First thing you're going to need is obviously your lavvu, double ponchos. And then I ordered off of Amazon 2 60-inch YKK zippers, double tabs, so that way you could open it from the outside and the inside. And they're 60 inches. And then I got a pack of these big safety pins at the dollar store. And I bought a package of sewing needles, which had a sail needle, which is a very big, thick, strong needle for going through thick canvas and sailing thread, sails. And then you want some really tough string, not ordinary sewing string, so you should get some really good polyester string. This stuff is so tough, you can't break this little strand. So then what I did is I took my 60-inch zippers and I lined it up on the ponchos. You want it on the inside of the seam, so you could still fold your buttons. Everything will still be buttoned up if you want to not function the zipper, use the zipper for whatever reason. But so yeah, you put it under your seam, and then I took the big safety pins and I started lining them up first. And now by hand, which is going to be a big pain in the butt, I'm going to start sewing the first side. Then you do the same thing. Once that one side's sewed, then now you would match your sides perfectly and evenly. Safety pin it out so that it doesn't move your zipper, and then slowly start sewing the seam. And as you get to each pin, you just remove each safety pin as you're sewing to try to keep your zipper exactly straight and safe. Then you do that on both sides. So it's going to take a while. It's going to be fun. But all right, so we got the first side down. And this actually took probably like an hour. Maybe longer, maybe shorter, but I got crappy in the stitching in the beginning, and I got a little bit better. I basically did this weave pattern to get the inside and outside of the zipper. And then I started doing a cross pattern everywhere. I would tie a little knot, and it's just to keep the tension. Tie a knot in between every button or so. And all the way up top here, I did this cool little pattern. So I just staggered the stitching so it's really wide. And now I'm going to have to safety pin down the other seam over the zipper and start stitching that side. That'll be fun. And there we are. Don't mind the red spots, it's not blood, it's actually paint from my children. So I've safety pinned the other side down now, all the way up, lined it up, and just as little, oh, I can't do this one-handed, of course. Well, anyways, so now I have to start stitching this side down, and to make it easier, I opened the other side of the Lavvu, so it's open on both sides. And this is a pain in the butt, but I was holding the pieces down on the floor and shoving the safety pins down straight through, so that way nothing's on the other side. And because it's kind of difficult to get both sides, of course. So now I just got to figure out how to sew that. And Alright, so I am now been sewing the other half of the zippers, and as I'm slowly going up, of course I'm removing the safety pins. So this is what I thought was going to be really difficult. It's still really hard. It's not an easy job to sew this. It's been very time consuming and a pain in the butt, but as I am going up this side now and removing the safety pins, I'm opening the zipper and sewing this side slowly and removing the safety pins as I work my way up. So let me show you up here. And that's basically what I'm doing right here still. So you can see where I left off my stitching. And so basically you just are now trying to make sure everything stays nice and even gap for your zipper. And just slowly, as I'm stitching, I'm opening the zipper and removing my safety pins and just making sure everything stays lined up. And that was kind of the hard part, I thought, was going to be trying to figure out how to sew this side. But this is actually working out pretty smoothly. You just unzip very slowly and sew as you remove your safety pins, which keep everything lined up. And yeah, there's a little teaser. Boom. Almost there. Gotta finish this one and now start working on the other side of the zipper. Oh yeah, so I think this is important to mention. My 60-inch zipper I lined up so it is matching the bottom. And I purposely left a large enough space at the top of the Lavvu so I could now, actually if I want, I could unzip all the way to here, and if I want I could keep this button closed to keep it tight, watertight, whatever. Or if an option, which I'm looking for when I'm hot tenting, is I want to open this up and open the peak when it's set up. So I'm going to be able to open the buttons on both sides and open my peak and get some fresh air ventilation, which is a big deal when you're hot tenting or you've got a stove going in a little tiny tent like this. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to be able to have the zipper all the way to the top, which I don't think is necessary. Utilize the button in that area and run the zipper all the way to the bottom. That way when you're closing yourself in your tent, you're actually getting a good door shut, a good closing, no air flap going around. The higher up you bring that zipper, the more air is going to be coming in the bottom. So just a thing to think about. All right, and there it is, all the way stitched up. And it's not the most beautiful stitching, but It's all done by hand. And I tried to do a bigger spacing so that it was faster for hour and a half per side. About an hour just to do this one side. So I'd guesstimate it's at least 2.5 hours to do both sides. But I got to use my button on the top, and that's what my goal was. So now we're all set. And that's the top unbuttoned, the tops of the Lavvu. And like I said, now I could utilize the top button or open the peak. And I tried to do a matching pattern on the stitches, so that way when I'm separated them, it will be easy to differentiate. I'm going to do a different pattern on the other zipper, and that way when they're completely separated as two ponchos, I'll just look at the patterns and I'll tell you where to zip. Take care, everybody. Clearly Canadian. It's Jake.